Never outshine the master. Hey guys, Austin here. Welcome to the video. Today we're talking about a couple of things. Number one, we're talking about the 48 laws of power. Really excited to talk about this. This is actually the first law that I just got done saying. Never outshine the master. We're going to talk about that in a second. And so that's the book of the day, is the 48 laws of power. I wanted to talk to you though about a mental model that I recently came across, and it's one that I struggle with, and I'm sure you might as well, probably. I think all humans probably do. And it's called Unforced Errors. Okay, and so I found out about this mental model from this book right here, which is Super Thinking, the big book of mental models. It's a great book. If you don't have it, it's one I think is instant mega ROI. So let us offer, and I'll read this. This is from page 2 in the book, but let us offer an example from the world of sports. In tennis, an unforced error occurs when a player makes a mistake, not because the other player hit an awesome shot, but rather because of their own poor judgment or execution. And so, for example, hitting an easy ball into the net is one kind of unforced error. To be wrong less in tennis, you need to make fewer unforced errors on the court. And to be consistently wrong less in decision making, you consistently need to make fewer unforced errors in your own life. Okay, so one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about unforced errors today is because, have you ever messed up or made a mistake or done the wrong thing or made the wrong choice? Because I know that I absolutely have. And I was trying to look up and see where I came across this, but it was either a mentor that said this to me recently, or it came from a book, and I can't remember, so I can't give credit to who, because I can't remember who said it to me. But he said, don't try to be smart, just don't be stupid. And I love that advice, because sometimes I'm trying to be fancy, I'm trying to be smart, I'm trying to make advanced decisions, when really the way we can win in life and get ahead is by just not making mistakes, right? And so in this case, it's the unforced error, right? Not making mistakes when we don't have to, and not losing because of our own poor judgment or execution. So there's your little mental model for today. Now let's get into the book of the day. So this is the 48 Laws of Power. I have in my hand, this is the concise version. So it's called the Concise 48 Laws of Power. It's by Robert Greene. This guy is becoming a favorite author of mine, particularly from this work. I have another book of his on my shelf. It's called 33 Strategies for War. I'm interested in reading about that one as well too. The 48 Laws of Power is a long book, and it has a lot of stories in it. And I would just recommend getting that. I have that in ebook version and audiobook as well. And then I got the 48, I wanted it on my shelf too. So I bought it online, and I ended up getting the Concise 48 Laws of Power. I didn't even know it when I had gotten it. But I'm really glad that I got this version, because it's concise and it's really easy just to kind of get some of the information. So I'm not going to go through the whole book, because there's obviously 48 laws of power, but I want to go through a couple of things. Number one, if you don't have this book, I highly recommend that you grab it. What I've been doing personally is I've just been writing down on my little flashcards, or my little index cards here, right here, and I write down the different laws. So I'm going to go through 5 of them with you. And so usually how I do it is I'll write something on the front and then something on the back. If the front is self-explanatory, then I will not write anything on the back. If I needed additional notes, then I will literally write them on the back of the index card. And again, I'm just flipping through these a couple times per day, and it's helping me retain information, right? I mean, trust me, I'm not naturally smart in any way, so I have to look at my notes and read a lot. That's why I do this. So I'm thinking about making maybe a little training where I talk about my favorite of the 48 Laws of Power, and maybe make like a little in-depth training. If you would be interested in that, leave me a comment on this video or reply to my email wherever you're seeing this video at. And let me know if that's something that you would like, and I might take some time, depending on if people say that they would be interested in that. And I'll put together like a training program that talks about a handful of my favorite 48 laws of power and how I think that they apply to making decisions in today's world. But for today's video, we're going to do kind of a beginner version of this, and we're just going to go through the first 5 laws. So that's what we're talking about today. Law number 1, never outshine the master. So if you work at a job right now and you have a boss or a manager or someone that is, or a superior in any way, shape, or form, one might find it advantageous to not outshine that person, even if they have the ability to do so. Even if that person may be quote unquote a moron, or whatever language you want to use to describe somebody who is above you, but maybe, is passable, if that makes sense. One might find it advantageous to not outshine the master. And I'll talk more about this. I'll read a little insert here from the book. So the judgment. Always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please and impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite. Inspire fear and insecurity. So that's the opposite. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain heights of power. So the stories that he was telling in the book, The 48 Laws of Power, which are pretty gruesome, I'm not going to lie, so full disclaimer on it. But it talks about kind of the olden days and how there was a servant who threw a party for the king, but everybody from the kingdom came, and the servant didn't necessarily try to take credit for this great party. Apparently it was the greatest party to ever happen in their history. And the servant didn't necessarily try to take credit for the party, but all of the guests gave the credit to the servant for that great party. And the kings are crazy, especially back then, the king, that made him upset, and so he killed his servant. Crazy, right? And the examples in this book are pretty are like that throughout. So it really gets the point across, which is a nice part of it. On the other hand, there was a philosopher of some sort. I believe it was Galileo, and there was a king, Louis the whatever. And Galileo, and hopefully I'm quoting this right. I apologize. I'm kind of doing this without the longer version of the book, so I'm kind of paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure I got the right figures here. Galileo and Louis the something. Galileo was doing some of his life work, and he gave all of the credit to the king, Louis whatever. And 2 things happened. Number 1, Louis kept him around and promoted him. Second, Galileo got so much credit for everything anyways. So he was able to not outshine his master, get promoted by his master, and everybody knew that he was incredible for the work he was doing anyways. And so that's the idea here behind do not outshine the master. So that's law number 1. I'll go ahead and move on. Again, I highly recommend you get a copy of this book. Okay, law number 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Okay, so this one kind of confused me a little bit. This is the only one I have so far where I have some notes on the back of it. And that's because it's kind of like, what does that even mean? Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. What does that mean? Well, the idea here is that friends will often say they love your art, your music, a website you just designed, your company logo. Basically, they're going to just say that they love whatever it is that you're working on because you're their friend. Sometimes they mean it, but oftentimes they don't. And so the idea here is to not, it's not necessarily to put too much trust in friends. It's in the right context. Basically, don't lean on your friends for criticisms. Criticisms come much better from enemies because they have nothing to lose and they don't care, right? And so listening to an enemy and receiving criticism from them, you are going to get, and I'm going to get, so much stricter, harsher feedback, which might hurt, it might sting a little bit, but it is what is needed in order for us to advance the furthest, the fastest. Life is short. We do not have very much time to live on earth. We kind of just got to get to the point and get better, right? We don't need to coddle each other's feelings so much. And this is something that I've struggled with, right? But sometimes we just got to get down to business and make adjustments and start moving in the right direction. So that's law number 2. Number 3, conceal your intentions. I will say it another way. Do not put your foot in your own mouth. And I'm talking to myself. So judgment is keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. If they have no clue what you are up to, they cannot prepare a defense. Guide them far enough down the wrong path, envelop them in enough smoke, and by the time they realize your intentions, it will be too late. Okay, so obviously this is 48 laws of power. So this is kind of out in the business world. This can be used, or just out in the world where it's kind of a war, so to speak, right? So let's see here. I think I didn't write down any other notes on this, but I feel like I should say something else. Most people are open books. They say what they feel, blurt out their opinions at every opportunity, and constantly reveal their plans and intentions. They do this for several reasons. First, it is easy and natural to always want to talk about one's feelings and plans for the future. It takes effort to control your tongue and monitor what you reveal. Second, many people believe that by being honest and open, they are winning people's hearts and showing their good nature. They are greatly deluded. Honesty is actually a blunt instrument, which bloodies more than it cuts. Your honesty is likely to offend people. It is much more prudent to tailor your words, telling people that they want to hear what they want to hear rather than coarse the ugly truth of what you feel and think. More important, by being unabashedly open to make yourself so predictable and familiar that it is almost impossible to respect or fear you, and power will not accrue to a person who cannot inspire such emotions. So honestly, the first part of that is the main takeaway for me on that. So they say what they feel, they blurt out their opinions at every opportunity, and constantly reveal their plans and intentions. The idea here is just for us to not say too much, not to put our foot in our own mouth, not to be, blabbering and talking too much. And so what we can do is we can try to say less, right? We don't need to just say everything that's on our mind. I don't need to try to sit here and tell you everything that I know. I can say less. And so I will say less right now, and I will practice that law by moving on to the next law. All right, so law number 4, always say less than necessary. Okay, so these kind of work together. When you are trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. Even if you're saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less. The more you say, the more you are likely to say something foolish. So who is a public figure that we can look to that represents this law in its entirety, which is to always say less than necessary? Rockefeller. Rockefeller was known for not talking at all. Probably the richest person of modern day, aside from Bill Gates. Literally one of the richest people of relative modern day. He didn't say very much, right? If you read his, he has a biography called Titan, and it's all about John Rockefeller, and it talks about his entire life, and he was just known for not really talking too much, and when he talked, he was very, very serious, right? And so in order to gain power in life and to gain more respect, we can always say less than necessary. Okay, so that was number 4. We will talk about law number 5 now, which is so much depends on reputation, guard it with your life. The only thing that we really have as an asset is our reputation. And so we need to try to guard it and make sure that we are doing a good job. So how can we do that? When we say we're going to do something, stick to it and get it done. This is so much easier said than done. Honestly, sometimes I don't even feel like putting out my book of the day video, but and this isn't necessarily something that I'm going to do forever, but this is something that I'm doing right now, and it's tough. It's tough to read a book a day. Reading a book a day is not quite as tough, but coming up with talking points and kind of teaching in a sense, that's hard. And so some days I don't necessarily feel like it, but I gotta just get out here, make my little video, whatever. It doesn't really do anything anyways, but I'm gonna keep doing it because that's just what I'm doing right now, right? And so I think we have these things in life where it's hard to get out there and get things done. But if we said we're gonna do it, a great way to keep up with our reputation is to just show up, get out there, and get it done even if we don't feel like it. That's the difference between good and great, especially when it comes to athletes. Professional athletes, the best of the best of the best professional athletes are not better by a substantial amount. They're better by just a little. And they do that by having the best reputation, meaning that they stick to what they say they're going to do. And honestly, they usually even go above and beyond. Guys, thanks for watching this video. The reason why I make these videos, by the way, is because I read one book per day, every day. And I like to make videos to talk about it because it helps me retain information that I'm reading. And hopefully I talk about something that helps you in your life and gets you to get out there and make a difference in your life. So the books of today, we have the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This is the concise version. And then I also have Super Thinking, the Big Book of Mental Models by Gabriel Weinberg and Lauren McCann. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.